take me to school. So it was a big prestige for me to be able to go to school with the youth pastor whom I looked up to. Not only that, but he was the class president of our school. Not only that, but he was a senior. Not only that, but he drove a very nice car, which was a remodeled '67 Mustang. I'm a car guy. And so we became friends through that, even though it was very odd for a freshman and a senior to be any type of friends. We became very good friends, and he started to take me to other services throughout South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia called Young Life Fellowship. I don't know if you guys have anything similar to that here, but it's called Young Life. It is a organization of youth, run by youth, put on by youth, and their services were a lot better than anyone I had been to. There was a lot of music involved. There was drums, guitars, the whole 9 yards. There was a lot of very strong biblical preaching based on the Bible, but it was like what they call the fire and brimstone preaching, very heavy, very much directing towards, look, either you do this or this is going to happen, and it was based on biblical principles. Everyone seemed to have that love and cordial brotherhood and sisterhood that really attracted me. It was very entertaining to me, very much at that point in my life when I started to go to these different retreats and camps and etc. I would say I became a religious Christian by choice rather than by upbringing, and I fell in love with my religion. I became emotionally attached to my faith, and it was at that point that I can say that I became what is known as saved by grace rather than just by birth. And all of that was fine and dandy. That was going on for quite a period of time. And then my friend Benjamin graduated, and I became a sophomore. And when he graduated, he started to attend a Bible college in my hometown, which is very well known in the United States amongst religious conservative Christians. And it is known somewhat worldwide. It is called Bob Jones University. Bob Jones University is, I would guess you would say, ultra-conservative in its biblical principles. There's no such thing as boyfriend and girlfriend on that campus. There's no such thing as men and women mingling. There's no such thing as men dressing in an inappropriate manner. There was a very strict dress code of slacks and jeans, or button-up polo shirts, or button-down polo shirts, and women had to wear skirts. They didn't wear pants. They wore long dressed button-up shirts, and this was just the way Bob Jones did it. And beyond his field of study of seminary and theology and all of the regular courses that you would take at a seminary school, he wanted to focus on textual criticism of the Bible. And to go through what a textual critic is, for those who don't know, would take another 2-hour lecture just to give you a synopsis of what textual criticism is. But to do it in as brief as I can, a textual critic is someone who takes the oldest existing documents that we have of the Bible today, and they try to decipher them through learning their languages, which are very hard languages, almost all of them. You're speaking of ancient Semitic Hebrew, ancient ancient Greek, Latin, and different languages that we find these parchments. Some of them are in Arabic. They were translated into Arabic, and they have to go through these existing documents, which there are now about 7,000 variant documents of what we now know as the Bible. And the textual critic job is to try to decipher which one of these documents most accurately represents the original form of the author's thoughts. This is what the textual critic does. He takes these oldest, because there are no originals. Any Bible scholar will come to that same deduction. There's no originals, and there's no chain of transmission back to an original. What we have are these documents that have to be sifted through, and the textual critic has the job of sifting through these documents to find out which was the most original form of what the author's original thoughts may have been. And that's very difficult because the documents are written in different languages, and they're very variant in many places. And for instance, you might have a document that is very old. You might have the oldest existing document of the book of Matthew, but that document might be a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy that does not agree with almost any other text that we have. And then you might have a newer document, a very newer document, that may have only been a once or twice over copy of an original, which agrees very heavily with the more existing documents. Therefore, the textual critic would say that the newer document, even though it's a newer document, would have more validity than the older documents. So it's a very serious, it's a very dedicated field to be in. And as I was his apprentice in all respects, I looked up to him very much. I idolized him in some sense. I wanted to be just like him. I had made up my mind at the age of 16 that I wanted to go to Bob Jones. I got enrolled into the waiting list. I wanted to be a textual critic. I wanted to be a Bible scholar. I wanted to be a pastor, a youth pastor. I wanted to be ordained as a minister.